Hello and welcome to GatherVerse XREvolve 2025, and what an amazing roundtable discussion that was. But with us right now, we have Sean Mann from RP1. Welcome.
How's it going, Russell?
It's great to have you with us, and there's a lot to discuss in this fireside chat. We have also many great questions to ask you as well. So literally, Sean, please tell us who you are, what you do, basically a quick introduction from yourself, and then we'll get into the lovely questions. So over to you, Sean.
Yes, great to see you, Russell. And I want to thank you and Chris for putting together the GatherVerse. I think this is so important to bring people together to talk about these topics on what's the next way we can all connect, right? And I think it's what all these discussions are about. So I'm Sean Mann. I am the co-founder and CEO of a company called RP1. And we created the first metaverse browser. And so if you think about when someone introduced the first web browser that ushered in the World Wide Web, which really connected the world, whether it's commerce or socially, we have created literally the first construct of a metaverse browser that will enable everyone to build on their own servers. And the browser seamlessly will connect everyone to all that content, whether in the real world with AR glasses or in virtual reality with your VR headsets and mobile devices and whatnot. So super excited.
That is really awesome, Sean. And I mean, honestly, I have so many questions to ask you. I'm not going to give you all of them, though. Don't worry, because there's like a list of 50. But we'll cut that down to about 5, maybe 10 max, right? Which is, first of all, how do you personally yourself define extended reality? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. What are your thoughts when it comes to the extended reality aspect?
Yeah, I think extended reality is taking the way we interact with people and our daily lives and just making it better. And so if I'm stuck in my home, and I think you remember the days of COVID where, we took away all in real world experiences and whatnot, virtual reality allows you to connect anywhere in the world instantly with experiences and people a lot further than you could do with websites, right?
Right.
And if you think of AR, its ability to extend our reality as far as what's in front of us to make it easier to navigate the real world. And instead of walking around staring at tiny little screens, you'll be able to have people that magically can join you from VR in your AR glasses and go into different stores and interact with Costco's and Walmarts and have them easily find things on the shelves or whatnot. It just makes our lives better with these technologies. And so I think it's a new way of connecting each other seamlessly so we can interact and enjoy experiences that were taken away from us in the real world.
No, I do agree. I think when it comes to connectivity and being able to connect with each other, it's a new way in which to be able to do that. I mean, we're talking about the different sort of devices, right? I mean, we're talking about AR glasses, then we're talking about contact lenses. I mean, what's next after that? I'm sure there's some mostly other versions that are going to come out, maybe holograms or something crazy. Yes. So when it comes to the true meaning of extended reality, what myths or misconceptions do you counter most in your work when it comes to the extended reality aspect?
Well, I almost want to bring up the term metaverse, right? Because you're talking about myths,
sure,
or really, thinking about what it is or what it's not. I mean, everyone thinks it's like this big game or kind of what this is. And I think we've tried to really simplify the idea that it's just a parallel to the World Wide Web. It's a way for everyone to build content and for it to seamlessly be found by XR devices and connecting us ways that you just can't do with 2D websites. And I think a lot of people think the grand idea of having one or many avatars and really go into a single massive ecosystem where I can connect with anyone and go to any location is 30 years away because the technology doesn't exist. And we're here to share that those have not only been solved, but it's now possible to create a massive open ecosystem that will rival the World Wide Web to make it easy for anyone to participate at any level and connect to these types of technologies. So super excited about that being possible.
No, I think I honestly agree. And it also makes me think about, what we spoke about in our roundtable discussion, which is Stefan brought up an interesting point that, about AR glasses and saying that only 45% of the world by 2035 are actually going to have, access to AR glasses or to be able to use them, right, to a good level. So what are your thoughts on that? And, how can we potentially solve that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been 30 years in the making, right? I mean, there's been multiple decades that I think a lot of visionaries from the XR space has envisioned the time when AR glasses will be the next device that connects us in the real world. And I think until now, you have 6 of the biggest tech companies spending hundreds of billions of R&D dollars to create the first commercially viable AR glasses. And I think the reason why that's important is I do believe it's going to replace cell phones. In fact, Tim Cook and some other members at Apple have publicly said that the iPhone could be defunct in about 10 years, because there's one thing about walking around the real world. If I need to stare at a 6-inch screen trying to interact with my environment seamlessly, it can't compete with AR glasses. And so if I want the idea that I'm walking down the street and a friend of mine from a different country or a different location can show up with me and enjoy that in real world experience seamlessly, that is going to change the game as far as how we connect as a human nation. And I think it's important that we are brought together with these devices and really power kind of what that future looks like.
And then I do want to add, like, when it comes to these, by the way, this question is not on the questions or anything, but these are just questions I'm actually thinking off the top of my head, which is, when it comes to AI and when it comes to XR and how these collide together, is that going to sort of enhance the experience, or is that gonna potentially, not enhance it, as in the opposite?
Yeah. So I want you to think of like plugins for websites. AI is really tools that allow you to do many different things, whether that's world building or building apps or software, whether that's a digital assistant or even a digital pet that you can interact that's in your AR
Interesting.
glasses. These AIs are just ways that we can interact with software that makes our lives better. And the idea of a metaverse browser enables anyone to build real-time software and have it show up based on proximity that you can interact with. And so if you think about it, AI, imagine if I'm walking into a Walmart or a Costco, there may be an AI that greets me and says, hey, what are you looking for? And I'm like, look, I want to find, the dog food in Costco or something. And it draws a digital line to where the dog food is. And I'm able to find it really easily. Or, when you walk into Home Depot and there's like nobody around and I just want to find the nails, I can easily just ask Home Depot's AI, hey, where's the nails? And it draws a digital line and shows me exactly where I need to find my product. And so I think of AI as just tools that can, take medial jobs and make it really easy for me to interact and make my life better. And I think when you think of it that way, I think the browser makes it easy for anyone to build these types of tools and instantly connect it to different experiences, no matter where you're coming from.
I've heard you bring up the browser a couple times. Why is the metaverse browser so important? I'm just curious, like, so that the audience can understand too. Why is the metaverse browser so important?
I mean, it is extremely a historical moment, and the best way I can describe it is actually going back to history. And if you think about when the internet was formed, you had walled garden platforms that were like AOL and CompuServe and Prodigy. And their sole mission was to keep you inside their walls. They gave you email, they gave you news, they gave you ways to communicate, but they wanted to stick you inside their walled garden and never have you leave. And there was something that was called the web browser, which is one of the greatest creations of software that mankind has ever seen, that opened up a massive open ecosystem that we refer to as the World Wide Web. And the reason why that was an important step for everyone is because everyone could participate. Anyone could become the WordPress. Anyone could be tools. There was open marketplaces. There was no one company trying to govern how you can build and create and deploy these amazing websites. And if you think about fast forwarding to where we're at today, there's a handful of walled garden platforms that are doing exactly the same thing. They want you to build in their platform. They own your assets. They take 90% of what you make for them, and it's a closed ecosystem. And so that we don't have that equivalent right now. And so we created the idea of the metaverse browser, which is really 3D first, to be able to not only connect an endless amount of virtual spaces, but also connect an endless amount of software when you're using AR glasses roaming around the real world. And so the browser is going to create the first open ecosystem where everyone can participate and have a hand in it. And we're just happen to be the first to really go down this direction. So we're excited about sharing it with the community.
And then just one other question as well, like when it comes to safety and when it comes to sort of the other aspects and us being able to trust this metaverse browser layer, right, so to speak. First of all, how can we trust it? And second of all, like, what is the safety aspect that you have on that, without diving obviously too deep, but just kind of give us like an overview kind of thing?
I think that's a great question. And I think that's the importance of the browser, because you don't build inside of RP1. The browser's job, just like Chrome, is to display your content that sits on your servers that you manage. And so the browser's job is not to govern or tell you how to run your locations. Its job is just to render and connect the world seamlessly to these locations so that you can interact there. And so the safety and all those things come inside the space that is built. But more importantly, an open ecosystem, and I'll give you a great problem. So Roblox, a big, obviously giant in the industry.
Huge game.
They still have a massive amount of moderating problems because they're trying to solve it themselves with their own technology. So they hire thousands of real people. They're trying to create their own tech. But imagine if this was an open ecosystem and every individual and company could build their own moderator tools. We'll be able to solve those problems much faster than any one company can do on their own. And so the idea of the browser creates this open ecosystem where you could become the WordPress. You could build moderator tools. You could build identity and avatars. It becomes a massive open ecosystem where we all finally can participate at every level and not be controlled and worried about one company governing the safety or how things must provide. You get to control your own site just like you do with your own website.
I think two of the most important things, number one is open source, and number two is accessibility. Those are two very fundamental big things, even when it comes to trust as well, because transparency, accountability, etc., those are extremely important as well. When it comes to outside things. So let's kind of go a bit more into the extended reality side again and talking about XR. How do we guard against XR being just a tool of escapism? Like, is there a way in which we can do that?
Yeah, I think, look, I grew up playing games, right? I played Ultima Online and Diablo, and you can easily kind of just lose track of the real world because you're just in these spaces and whatnot. And I think moderation is always important. I think again, it's there to enhance or extend. It's not there to replace. And I think if we understand that, we have to allow ourselves to enjoy it. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I think with that last average was 7 to 9 hours a day people are on the internet.
That's true.
So isn't that a level of escapism, or is it a way for us to share and connect with people all over the world, whether it's my job or entertainment or social or whatever that looks like? And I think as long as we have the idea of moderation, understand that we can't escape, I still believe in real life experiences, connecting with human beings, seeing them, touching them, smelling your surroundings, nothing will ever replace that experience. But the whole purpose of these technologies is to augment or extend or enhance those experiences. And it's up to you as the user to really govern what that looks like. And I think that's why an open ecosystem is important, because you can have parental controls. There's all these things that you can, put in place based on age groups and things that you're doing that allow you to govern kind of how you want to bring the metaverse or all this content into your daily life.
No, I honestly think, it's going to change how, our reality. And, I mean, people are saying that if we're going to be wearing these AR glasses, that we're going to be even more in it because we're going to be wearing them all the time. We're going to be using them even more. And, we talk about social media and how we're stuck on social media. And then you have TikTok brains and stuff now. Like, there's a whole things going on around that. But anyway, I do have to stop the fireside chat because we've run out of time. So thank you so much, Sean, man, for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you with us here at GatherVerse. And that is it for our fireside chat. And up next, we have another fantastic roundtable discussion. So stay with us. And I will see you again very shortly. And thank you. And also, everyone, follow Sean Man on LinkedIn as well. That is it from me. And that's it. Goodbye.
Thanks, Russell.
See ya.